So we're going to sew up the bands now, the bottom band, the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's very important that we keep the same seam allowance on the band as we did for the body of the bag. I'm just going to sew across. I've already sewn the other side in the interest of time. And now we're going to pop on our 1/8 of an inch Teflon. Sorry about that. This thread through. Teflon foot. And put the thread through the little hole. Bring the threads behind your machine. And we're going to top stitch on either side of the band. It's going to spread them out manually. And we're going to top stitch on both sides. So increase our stitch length to 4.5. And just go. Do the other side. So, I don't know if you can see or not, but you get the idea. Top stitch. Use the seam as a guide against the edge foot. To do it for the other side as well. Give it a haircut. Hopefully you can see. The last side. Okay, so we've completed sewing the band together. We'll give it a haircut, get all those threads off. And next up is now, excuse me, right sides together. We're going to attach our band to the bag. And we already have our bag marked. Or did you? I autographed my bag in case somebody one day gets this and wants to see who made it. Okay, so I have got some clips. So we're going to put our band onto the bag, right sides together. We're going to match up the side seams with the markings. So just put your first marking there, put a clip in there, and we'll come to this side and put it over here, match it up. And then we're going to just kind of pull it apart and let the whole thing kind of come in together. You can match up these seams too, because we know that they're centered because we went to great trouble to make them so. So just go ahead and clip all the way around. Get your bag perfect. And then when we come back, we're going to sew it. So we're gonna, I have used up all the clips in the universe to attach my band to the bottom of the bag. Make sure you got the bottom, not the top. It's happened. And we're simply going to sew 3/8 of an inch all the way around. I know you probably can't see this a little bit, but just know. So I'm sewing from the inside, and we're gonna go. I'm using my gauge on my sewing machine to kind of estimate where 3/8 is. I did purchase a 3/8 of an inch foot today, but it's not coming until the middle of September because I like that. We use that seam allowance a lot, and the more accurate we are, the better. So accuracy and consistency. Aim for those things. Get those clips out of the way. We're just sewing around. So as you can see, I can make this entire bag on my Juki 8700. If I had done the straps, maybe a two-tone, like a half vinyl and half fabric, then I could have done them on this machine as well. So that's really the only thing that I haven't made on this Juki 8700, which is really comparable to quite a few of your more sturdy machines. I guess my point is you don't have to have an industrial. It's nice, but you don't have to. So we're just sewing around. And normally, I think I mentioned before, I would sew maybe twice around for a seam like this if I wanted it to be extra durable, but we're going to flip it down and top stitch, so that's going to give it the durability that it needs. So we're going to pull it out, go like this, get rid of our threads. We're going to bring the band down, making a lot of noise for you. Bring it down. Make sure it looks nice. No pokies. No. What do you call that? No folds. Just make sure it looks good, and it does. So our bag is coming to life. So now that we have the band folded down, we're going to get the machine ready to do a beautiful top stitching. Then we're going to attach the base, and we are on the home stretch. So, be right back. Okay, so we have our band attached, and the instructions say to top stitch the bottom band through the seam allowance. I personally find it easier to turn the bag inside out and stitch from the inside so I can see what I'm doing and not have to worry about catching the other parts of the bag when I'm sewing. To each their own, but this is a little tip for you. Maybe it'll work for you. So I've set my stitch length to 4.5, and I'm going to just bring the bag over here, get it going. I'll start it and make sure we're up at the, and you got your seam allowance underneath there, okay? And we're using our foot, edge of the foot as our gauge. Okay, and we have our seam allowance there. We'll get it going. And now we're going to sew all the way around, taking our time, and come back to the same place we started, and ensuring that we are stitching, keep the fabric pulled apart, and we are stitching through the seam allowance. So I think if you, once you see this inside out, you'll kind of agree that it's easier to sew than the other way around. But to each their own, like I said. Actually, it's not so much that it's easier. I just think it's more precise for me. That's how I top stitch the final bag too, but we'll cover that later. So just slowly come around. Make sure your seam allowance is towards the band. And you can be sure that I made sure my bobbin was full. I replaced it, because the last thing you want to do on something like this is be messing around with bobbins. Okay. Just going around slowly. Nothing's in our way because we can see what we're doing. Checking our seam allowance. Just keep on bringing the bag under the machine as you need. And keep going. If you get to one of these thick seams, you may want to have your hump jumper handy. Why tempt fate when we're getting so close to our bag being done? She says, thank you. We're coming around to the side. And the seam allowance towards us. Keep the bag flat. Keep on coming. Smooth her out. This little thread's off there in my way. Seam allowance too towards us. Just kind of wrestle with the bag, but as always, you just tell the bag who's the boss. We're the boss, always. We are nearing the finish line. And we're just going to sew right to where we started. If you need your hump jumper, but I don't need it today. And that's it. So, take this off the machine. Give her a haircut. And now we can see we have a beautiful top stitching, relatively easy to do. I'll show you again when I flip it inside out. So that's it. Just if you want, top stitch it with the bag inside out, and I think you might find it to be a little easier.